Sup, Internet? My name's Wülf Boi, as you can probably tell from my amazing hat. You may know me from this video.
Yeah, that's what you heard.
Yep, that was me. But today I'm going to be making a more serious video. I'm going to be talking about math. Okay, I know it's not the most interesting subject for a YouTube video, but I've been struggling with this one particular subject and I thought other people might be too. Plus, I'm also getting a grade on this video. And who knows, I might even make more of these videos if you guys like them. So what's today's subject? Finding the equation from a graph of a sinusoid. But what's a sinusoid, you may ask? Well, person who clearly isn't just me without my hat, a sinusoid is one of these. A big, wibbly-wobbly Doctor Who reference. Some of you may already know how to obtain the equation from a graph. If you're in algebra, you should know how to get the equation from this graph. There's a point here and a point here, so you'll know that there's a slope of 1 and an elevation of plus 2, so you'll get the equation y equals x plus 2. Finding the equation from a graph of a sinusoid is quite similar. You look at aspects of the graph and put them into your equation. So let's take a look at the basic equation for a sinusoid. That's a lot of numbers! Okay, here's a simpler version of the equation. Y equals a sine bx plus c plus d. It's still a lot of numbers. Okay, don't worry, I'll take you through the equation step by step. First, here's an example graph. It's just a simple sine wave with some basic transformations on it. Instead of going in alphabetical order, I'll go in the order of which is the easiest to find to which is the most difficult to find. The d in y equals a sine bx plus c plus d means the elevation. You would think that the elevation would be the highest point, so in this graph it would be 4. Well, you'd be wrong! Most sine waves typically start down here at the origin, but this one starts up here at 3, so the elevation would be 3. Cool, so now we have the first part of our equation. Now let's move on to a. The a in this part means amplitude. Fitting, right? Amplitude is a bit of a more complicated concept. It's how far away the maximum and minimum are from the middle point. Since we already know that the middle point is 3, we just have to find how high and low it goes. The highest point on the graph is 4, and the lowest point is 2. So you would think that the amplitude would be 2, since the difference of those two numbers is 2. But again, that's wrong! Instead, we take the difference of the larger number and the middle number, which we again earlier defined as 3. There are other ways to do it, but I find that's the simplest way. In this case, this gives us an amplitude of 1. So, let's put that into the equation. If you're in algebra, you should know that a 1 can just be represented by nothing. So far the equation is y equals sine bx plus c plus 3. So now let's look at b and c. Both b and c deal with the horizontal position of the graph. B represents how long a single period is, and c represents the phase shift. I'll talk about what both these mean right now. A period is just the length from one maximum to another maximum, or one minimum to another minimum on a sine wave graph. Earlier, we defined the maximum of this graph as 4. So now we need to measure the distance from one point where the graph hits 4 to the next point where the graph hits 4. You may have noticed that this graph is being measured in pi's. The distance between these 2 points is 2 pi. So how do you write that in the equation? To get b, you need to divide 2 pi by the length of the period. Since the length of this period is 2 pi, we get 1. Adding this into the equation, we get y equals sine x plus c plus 3. Now for the phase shift. The phase shift only applies if the graph has been moved left to right, but in this case it hasn't, so we could, in theory, leave the c out completely. But just for the sake of argument, let's say that we're trying to find the equation of a cosine using the exact same graph. Cosine doesn't start at 0, it starts at 1, so that would mean that the graph has been shifted over by 1/2 pi. So we could write this equation one of two ways: y equals sine x plus 3, or y equals cosine x minus pi over 2 plus 3. And there you have it. That's 2 ways to write an equation for a graph of a sine wave. I'm probably not the best teacher ever, I know that. But if you follow this video closely, and pause it a lot, you should be able to get it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, favorite, subscribe, all that junk, and I'll see you next time. Bye!